Last week, I was blessed to be able to say goodbye to my 95-year-old gran before we left the country. And I was deeply grateful that we were able to celebrate, not just for myself, but for my mum and particularly for my daughter, who is nearly 12 and has had the blessing of having her great grandmother in her life for all of those 12 years. And they have been fast friends. And Gran has taught Scarlett so much. She taught her to knit. She taught her to play patience or maybe solitaire, depending on where you're at. And so many things that she will never forget, including many conversations about life and death. Because we've been planning to go on to this trip for a long time, and my gran was adamant that we were not to delay it, regardless of what was going on with her. And so there were some conversations that I'd had a few weeks before with friends at a 40th birthday party. I suppose it's about that time when we start to think about, we're kind of halfway through life, and we start to think about these things. And we also have a friend who works with hospice, who was an amazing service during Gran's last couple of weeks. And we were talking about the top 5 regrets of the dying. It's a great book. If you haven't read it, it's worth a read. And my friends were saying, how would you score yourself? How would you score yourself on those top 5 regrets? And my gran, she would not have had those regrets at all. And if you don't know what they are, the very first one is I regret not having the courage to live the life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. So my gran passed away when she was 95. She was traveling in her, I want to say her 20s, her early 20s, traveling throughout Australia, nursing. She carried on traveling after my grandfather passed away. She's basically lived 30 years of her life without her significant other. She got up, she got traveling. She's been to Alaska. She's been, oh my God, honestly, Gran's far better traveled than I ever will be. She's been all over the world. Had a blast doing it. She has done so many things, jumped out of planes, sometimes encouraged by her grandchildren. She's done so many things that would not have been what was expected of someone, being expected of someone born nearly 100 years ago. Like, that's crazy. She has absolutely had the courage to live a life that was what she desired, what she wanted for herself. She absolutely worked hard, but not too hard. She always had time for people. She was super giving, gave back to so many people. She had the courage to express her feelings. She asked what she needed. She was very clear on what she wanted in her last days and how she wanted us to all show up. We followed those about, I don't know, I was saying to Mum, how closely did we follow those rules? Mum reckons about 75%. So we did okay. But she was very clear on the fact that she didn't want us to mourn her life. She wanted us to celebrate her life. And so her rules were that we were to have a celebration 12 months, 6 months, 12 months from now, where we can actually celebrate her life rather than that immediate moment of the loss and the grief that she's gone. The 4th regret is I don't have enough time for friends. I don't stay in touch with my friends and family. Gran was so well loved, so well loved. There were so many people touched by her. She always had time for you. She was the most phenomenal listener you will ever meet, and that was definitely a factor in her relationship with Scarlett. You would hear Scarlett scurry, was the first place Scarlett would go after school when we went to their house, scurry into Gran's room and just talk at 3,000 miles a minute to her Gran. So she always had time for people. And the last one is, I wish I'd let myself be happier. And Gran absolutely didn't have that regret. She was happy in her garden. She was happy with her family. She was happy with the number of great-grandchildren she was given and the grandchildren that she got to have time with. And so for me, when I'm building my businesses, I really think about this. I think about, how do I want to show up? How do I want to be thought of in those rocking chair years? What are the stories that are going to be told in those years? And will people have looked at me, and will I have those regrets when I go to my death of my life? Will I have had the courage to live a life that I wanted rather than what everyone else expected of me? Will I have worked too hard? Will I have had the courage to express my feelings? Will I have had the courage to make time for friends and family? Will I have had, will I have let myself be happy, right? And at this 40th birthday party, just not a few weeks before Gran passed, we were having this conversation about if you ranked yourself out of 8 on the scale of the top 5 regrets of the dying, how would your current life rank? And when we were playing this game, I thought, oh my goodness, me 10 years ago would not have been able to get much past a 2 or 3 in any of these. I worked way too hard. I was absolutely complying to the life that everybody else expected me. I certainly didn't have time for family and friends. I wasn't allowing myself to be happy because I'd be happy when sometime in the future. And I certainly didn't have the courage to express my feelings. I was constantly telling people that I was happy and I was fine and I was busy, and that was absolutely not the truth. And so the most important thing I have seen in my Gran's life is that she has made sure that none of those regrets showed up on the day that she took her last breath. And that's the sort of life that I'm building for myself. And that's why we got on the plane the day after her service happened, because 1, she told us we had to, and she was the matriarch, and you did what she told you. And 2, this is me having the courage to live a life true to myself, live a life true to my family, which is building my business in a way that allows me to blend my life and business seamlessly. And I put together a little resource for my clients inside my program today, so that they could have a little check-in, because it's not the last chapter yet for most of us. And even if it is, you've still got time to change things. And so I want to make sure that my clients are building businesses that do not have these regrets hard baked into them. You do not want to be lying in bed on those last few days thinking, man, I worked way too hard and I didn't live the life I wanted and I didn't spend time with the people I love. And so we very much focus on building businesses like that. And so I've given them a wee little 1-page PDF just to go through and have a little check-in and go, which one of these regrets am I in danger of having? And what's the one little tweak that I can make from today that will enable me to not have those regrets? It might be as simple as sending a text, sending a message to friends and family today to tell them that you love them, to check in, to tell them what it is about them that you appreciate about them. It might be doing something a little unorthodox in your life, or planning to do something a little unorthodox in your life as you go along this business journey, because we're a bit unorthodox anyway, right? You're running your own business. It's not something that everyone's going to do. And so if this is something to be useful for you, I have got a wee PDF, happy to share it with you. Drop the comment 5, the number 5, or write it out if you're feeling busy, you want to do that. But if you just comment 5 below, I will get you a copy of the PDF that I've shared with my clients so that you can have a check-in and learn from my Gran too. Because, 95 years of wisdom, it's not a life that you can sniff at. There's got to be a heap ton of wisdom in there, and I'll be very, very grateful for all the moments that I got and Scarlett got to sit and talk with her, because there are many, many things that I learnt in those, especially those last 10, 15 years. I had a lot more time with my Gran then, that I will apply in my business. And hopefully you have had some magic times with someone like that you can do that too. And now I want you to make sure that you can make sure none of those regrets exist in your life.